And we're back at it. Oh my gosh, what have they done, bro? Recently the 1X rework dropped, and you know, my initial thought that, bro, this is not a rework, this is just a buff. Some YouTubers say that it's like balanced and good and makes 1X viable. No, brother, no. I will agree that it makes 1X more viable competitively, or maybe makes him better, but that's not the point. The key difference is that they overbuffed him. I haven't seen many people talk about how they overbuffed him. I played as 1X and against him for a whole day, and I can safely say, dude, 1X is now undoubtedly the #1 killer in Forsaken right now. There is no shot this went past testing, bro. Let's go over the changes and I'll explain why are they messed up. Now let's start off with an ability that just got nerfed without any trade-offs. Rejuvenate the Rotten. I really hated how 1X had the easiest LMS just due to his minions, meaning that bad teammates lead to you have a harder time surviving. And it was mostly a one-time use ability, so most of the time it was just used in LMS, and it really messed you up, as if your teammates died evenly across the map, you just don't have anywhere to loop and you just die. Yes, 1X could get speed 1 for 10 seconds, but ever since speed stacking was removed, it wasn't exactly viable. So nerfing minions and the ability as a whole is a very good thing. Minions now do 15 poison damage and they can no longer kill unless the victim has glitched. Minions also now have a decreased aggro loose range and a decreased aggro range. Basically, they lose you faster and they're more blind, so they have a harder time spotting you. 1X still gets speed 1 for 10 seconds upon killing a minion, but now Mass Infection can no longer kill one, so you actually need to either slay one with your melee attack or use your Entanglement. Now with that out of the way, let's enter the circus. First move, which out of the three I think I have the least problems about, is Entanglement. Now, I'm not sure if it was sped up or it's just my skill issue, but it has been a lot more consistently landing on me. Previous Entanglement interactions just stop your victim in place until they either complete a minigame or they stand still for 3 seconds. It was equal, although PC players had it the roughest, since mobile players are easily able to complete the minigame since their screen is small, and console players only had to spam the jump button. But overall, it's a fair trade-off, as PC players are generally better at the game, so it wasn't that big of a deal. This time, however, Entanglement now pulls the survivors closer, doesn't give speed boost to the 1X or the survivor, and stuns them for just 1 second without the minigame. This made Entanglement worse if you're doing cheeky shots through the wall, or if a victim is behind cover. Another drawback is due to the low stun time, and 1x1 can no longer chain Entanglement and Mass Infection up close. And I think that's just a good thing, because overall that was just bad game design when from one mistake you could just take like 90 damage from one mistake, bro. But it became better in almost every other scenario, like open fields or stunning abilities, because the damage was buffed. I have no clue why they decided to buff Entanglement's damage. In my opinion, it should have done even less damage, but maybe that's just me. The problem is that previously Entanglement did 10 damage, and if you landed an M1 after that, this would equal to 38 damage. Not enough to do half health of 2-time an Elliot, not enough to do 40% of a normal survivor's HP, and it was good. However, now that they added just a slight bonus damage of 5, this thing now does 43 damage. You are now considerably closer to death when you're getting hit by an Entanglement. The windup is still good, and I know there is a tech going on where you use your slash as 1x pulls you in with Entanglement, but I'm pretty convinced that you can either punish the Shedletsky or Chance that does that after, but another thing is that you waste a stun after, so you don't get that much distance. Now we move on to Unstable Eye, bro. Now, the change overall doesn't seem that bad until you realize how 1x is actually played. Due to low sprint and walk speed, 1x is forced to either play around his projectiles or abuse loop spots. Loop spots are easily countered by the killer just waiting on one side while the survivor just stands still at the other. This is effective because you even out your stamina, and since killers have more stamina and more sprinting speed, you will catch up if they camp you at a loop spot. If you try to run to either side, you either just corner yourself or you just put yourself on the exact same scenario, just under a different loop spot. Why am I telling you all of this? Well, now Unstable Eye gives you a massive head start at the start of the chase if you camp a loop spot. Loop spots are also countered by 1x's abilities because even if you miss, the survivor wastes stamina, so you have a greater advantage in chase. 1x's gameplay overall just boils down to you throwing random stuff, and then when the survivor is getting away due to your low speed, you just force them to wait at a loop spot. That's literally it. And it wouldn't be such a clown fiesta if it wasn't for the last ability, Mass Infection. Mass Infection pre-nerf was just a heavy big move of high risk, high reward. If you try to land it and you miss, you lose quite a lot of distance due to a 1.5 second windup. But if you do land it, you will do a staggering 42 damage, which is even more than Entanglement plus Slash combo. Now, what did they do in these changes? Well, it's simple. As an upside, Mass Infection now flies way faster. It now has a bit less end lag, and I believe it has a little bit of a shorter windup. But the main part is that after you throw the Mass Infection, you get a speed boost. As a trade-off, Mass Infection now does 5 less damage. And not to mention that if your victim has glitched, Mass Infection does 40 damage. That's 5 more than usual and 10 more than the rework. Honestly, I don't really freaking know what they were doing with here. Like, why did you buff 1x when he was already relatively good and nobody really asked for his changes? Yes, he was a gambler stereotype, but now it's just a 50-50, except now it's way more profitable for 1x. Why didn't you buff Slasher? Why didn't you buff Nosferatu? Why didn't you buff Sixer after all, huh? You can't believe how many games I've lost yesterday just to 1x being a bullshit character. Okay, you know what? You might not believe me, but I think from the gameplay footage on the background you can pretty much tell what's going on here. But let me show you an example of how you can easily win a chase as 1x. First of all, obviously, you approach a survivor. Now, you might throw projectiles here and there, but it's not exactly needed. What you need to do is make them go into a loop spot. Then you just camp around and wait until your stamina is fully regained. Then you either pop Unstable Eye or Mass Infection, because both of them give speed boost for whatever reason. Then either from the speed boost you just run at them and maybe land an Entanglement, but I don't think that's exactly necessary because you almost guaranteed get a hit or two. And then you just repeat the whole process ever again. Like, it's just so stupid. If you take another look at his abilities, you kind of realize that both Mass Infection and Unstable Eye guarantee a hit just because of the speed boost after. Like, you just chase a survivor, you're both low on stamina, and this is where you're supposed to maybe, like, I don't know, juke a projectile or maybe just regain stamina. No, this dude just pops Unstable Eye and runs at you with speed 2, effectively just crossing the entire distance you built up, and that's not even mentioned that during Unstable Eye he can still walk. For whatever reason, like, why? Why can he still walk? You already get a speed boost. It's just so stupid. So for medium range of about, I don't know, 2 or 3 beheads, using Unstable Eye is just a guaranteed hit. It's not like 1x has low damage. He does 28 from a single slash considering his poison damage. It's not like he's, again, Guess 666 that only does 20 damage per hit. My previous video about 1x was mostly just me wanting to make a video on it, but mostly it turned into a rant. This video, however, is just pure hate by my side. I just hate how they balanced 1x. There was 0 reasons for them to buff him because there were a lot of different issues on different survivors and other killers, but they decided to just go for 1x. Even though if he's maybe not number 1, he's at least in the top 3, competing with killers like Noli and John Doe. But this is dumb. This is actually stupid. Now you might be thinking that, bro, pre-rework 1x was trash behind teamwork and stuff. Yeah, you know what, I agree. However, the main thing is that every single other killer has the exact same issue. Some just suffer more from it than others. But the main thing is that the game is survivor-sided. And 1x being a little bit balanced between the two makes it unbalanced between the killers. If I compare Nosferatu and Guest 666 to, let's say, Slasher or 1x, it would not even be close. Nosferatu and Guest need so just strategical thinking and mechanical skill, specifically Nosferatu, that it's just dumb. It's silly. And about Guest 666, you know, I might as well say that this guy is literally unwinnable because of his large size and his passive not even working correctly. Yes, I get marked and stuff and it's supposed to speed you up, but for whatever reason they just didn't implement the changes properly. So what is going on here? Adding on to Mass Infection being stupid, you can no longer cancel it with Guest. So the biggest counter to this ability was Guest. You kinda had to use it sparsely so you don't get parried left and right, and so you don't get gunned down by chance. But now, you only have to worry about chance, but you can just block behind a wall because they messed up his hitbox, so now even 1 pixel is touching a wall, the hit no longer counts. So not only is Mass Infection giving you an advantage even if you miss, it gives an insane damage. It provides you with poison, it just does so freaking much for you. Before the rework, 1x, yes, it was kind of dependent on your skill, how to use Unstable Eye and actually land your projectiles, and yeah, it was kind of gambling, but now it's just consistent. It's consistent, however, the results that 1x gets, as in like the award of how fast you can kill a survivor, stayed the same. So I must ask again, what the hell is going on? You know, I didn't really want to make this video. I thought the 1x rework was just a joke, but apparently it isn't. I would have been more happy if they rework Elliot's Rush Hour or buffed Nosferatu and Sixer so they aren't a joke, but I guess it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please consider subscribing. I want to reach 10,000 before the end of the year. This video took a while to make and I really wanted to do just on the day after the update. So yeah, it took a lot of time, okay. That's it for today and I'll see you in the next video.